Good morning. China's economic model does have a weak spot. They dominate the supply chain of raw materials, and China is the factory of the world. They also now control the world's logistics systems, the shipping and railroads from raw material sources to the refineries and the factories here, and then from here outbound to global consumer markets. China is a dominant productive economy, but they leave a lot of money on the table, on the very top of the value chain and at the very bottom. Consider a company like mine. There are tens of thousands of companies like mine. We contract with Chinese factories to build heavy equipment, which we private label for our own company in the United States and sell to customers in America. At the other extreme are companies like Apple, who outsource production of hundreds of millions of devices, iPhones, tablets, and sell those products in our markets. The Western companies do some of the design and innovation for new products, along with the branding and marketing and customer service, and it is we who collect most of the profits. And in China's mind, that's a lousy deal. They're doing most of the work, but most of the profits are going to someone else. And that's what they're hoping to fix. This entire article is paywalled, so we'll go through all the key parts and then put them on the screen. It's China's blueprint for the strategy to now move down the value chain by doing a lot more of the innovation at the top and taking over the business services at the bottom. Supply chain is the flow of raw materials from the mines to the refineries to machining and factory work, and all the logistics involved in producing something and getting it to the final customer. But the value chain is where the money is. At which points is new value being created and new profits being earned? And it's in the value chains that China is trying to catch up. Zero to one innovation is the building of an entirely new industry where none existed previously, and new technologies and standards need to be developed. AI and robotics are key examples here, and we've reported on China's efforts in AI and robotics. It's a global race to develop these industries, and all the innovations in AI and in robotics are new. Everyone, everywhere is doing zero to one. China is also developing a new industry for drones, which they call a low altitude economy, which is not being done anywhere else. And we'll do a standalone report on it in a few days and with lots more to come. This low altitude economy is going to transform China's logistics and supply systems, making those faster and more efficient by going node to node and eliminating bottlenecks. Doing that, they hope, will reduce China's spending on logistics by 5 percentage points, saving over $800 billion per year. Tertiary industries are those that do not directly create products. And it's in these industries that China is foregoing profits because China's business services industries are underinvested. Huang Qifan is the official who is cited in this piece, and he's been a key architect in building up Shanghai and Chongqing, which are two of the economic powerhouses here in China. And he makes the point again here with respect to Apple and companies like them. Apple's partners in China do most of the work, but those Chinese companies earn only a quarter of the profits from Apple's value chain. Apple makes 3/4 of the profits from the products that are made here, going all the way back to the mines that haul the magnets out of the ground to make all the smartphones in the world actually work. For pharmaceuticals, the profit margins paid to Western firms are obscene, thousands of percent in markups in drugs that are designed here, tested here, produced here, then shipped to companies whose only value add is the branding and licensing to sell in foreign markets. Looking at these from the perspective of supply chain, it's almost all China. It's Chinese companies who pull the raw materials out of the ground all over the world, bring them here for the refining and manufacturing, and even the packaging, then the shipping to the company that handles the advertising and the last mile delivery. But on the value chain, upfront innovation and business services, those are mostly foreign companies. And to China, that seems like the easy part. On the first point, China will be investing more on the 0 to 1 innovation. Currently, Chinese companies reinvest about 5% of their profits back into R&D, which is a fourth what Western firms do. Then they need a new focus on business services, the service sectors that are oriented toward producers. China has an enormous services sector, but only a third of that is aimed at producers. In Western countries, it's almost half. Western countries have some key advantages here in advertising, marketing, banking, insurance. And he points out that China has huge trade surpluses, much of which is negated by the deficits in services. Specifically, he mentions settlements, logistics, and insurance. China's deficit here is almost $100 billion. When you do business with Chinese factories, the difference in cost for these business services is stark. For example, the difference between using a freight forwarder in Singapore or New York or London compared to the one which is recommended by the Chinese factory is thousands of dollars per container. And if buyers use a letter of credit issued by a US bank instead of one in Hong Kong, the difference there is hundreds of dollars, and the US bank takes longer. China's challenge to squeeze the middlemen out of the logistics and payment systems is simply to make end buyers better informed as to what the shipping and payment options are actually available. Those profits will probably eventually be wrested away from logistics companies in the US and Europe who aren't actually providing any logistics at all. For the banking and insurance, that trend looks favorable to China too, as they further develop their financial systems that are outside Western regulation. This report is not as interesting as some of the others, but this is an important pivot. It's a major shift in emphasis, and for the industries that are taking $100 billion a year in value chain profits without providing anything tangible on the supply chain side, China's coming after that money. This is Sichuan Bana in Yunnan province. Be good. Everyone who hears these words of Jesus and acts on them is like a wise man who built his house on a rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and yet the house did not fall, for it was founded on a rock.